The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched out like a small moon. Massive pillars of crystal and metal reached toward a dome that showed the stars beyond. In the center, 12 towering seats held the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Each seat was built for a different kind of alien life. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked across the polished floor. Her footsteps echoed in the huge space. Behind her, 3 other humans followed in perfect formation. They wore simple dark blue uniforms with the Earth symbol on their shoulders. Compared to the aliens around them, they looked very small. Chatsir, Fourth Eye Speaker, sat in the largest chair. His body was made of living crystal that caught the light and threw it back in rainbow colors. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. Ambassador Chen of the Human Federation, you have requested this final hearing. State your petition. Sarah stopped at the speaking circle. She looked up at the 12 council members. Each one was different. The Nethys representative looked like a cloud of gas held together by a metal suit. The Kalari spoke with one voice but had 1,000 minds. The Zephyrians had wings that could cut through steel. All of them had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Honored Council, Sarah began. Her voice was calm and clear. For 50 years, humanity has served as a junior member of this great alliance. We have followed every law. We have paid every tax. We have sent our young people to fight in your wars. We have shared our discoveries and our culture. The Fourth Eye Speaker's crystal body made a sound like breaking glass. This meant he was annoyed. Yes. Humanity has been adequate. What do you want, little human? Sarah did not show any anger at the insult. We request full membership in the Galactic Council. We ask for the same rights as other species. We want access to the hyperspace lanes that are currently forbidden to us. We want to trade in the restricted markets. We want to colonize worlds beyond the small sector you have given us. A low sound filled the chamber. It came from all 12 council members at once. Some laughed, some made clicking noises. The Nethys representative released a cloud of what might have been amusement. The Kalari spoke next. Their voice was actually 1,000 voices speaking together. Humanity requests privileges reserved for mature species. Tell us, Ambassador Chen, how long does your species live? The average human lives about 100 years, Sarah answered. The youngest member of this council has lived for over 3,000 years. The Kalari continued. Our collective memory spans 50,000 years. What wisdom can a species learn in such a brief existence? The Zephyrian representative spread her metal wings. Your people still fight wars among themselves. You poison your own planet. You cannot even control your emotions. Yesterday we received reports of human colonists arguing over water rights. Such primitive behavior. More sounds of alien amusement filled the chamber. Sarah waited for them to finish. With respect, honored ones, we believe we have much to offer. Human engineers have improved the efficiency of galactic mining equipment by 15%. Human doctors have developed new treatments that have saved millions of alien lives. Human artists have created works that are enjoyed throughout the galaxy. The Fourth Eye Speaker's crystal body grew brighter. You speak of small improvements to our technology. You heal with methods we taught you. Your art is pleasant. But you misunderstand your place, young human. You are a junior species. You follow. You do not lead. The galaxy has an order, added the representative from the hegemony worlds. That order has kept peace for 10,000 years. Older species guide younger ones. This is natural, this is right. Sarah nodded slowly. And what must humanity do to earn full membership? The council members looked at each other. The Fourth Eye Speaker's voice became cold. Your species must prove its maturity. You must show wisdom. You must demonstrate that you can think beyond your brief lives and immediate desires. How long might this take? Sarah asked. Perhaps 1,000 years. Perhaps more. When your people stop fighting among themselves. When you learn patience. When you understand that some knowledge is too dangerous for young minds. The speaker paused. If you survive that long. The chamber became very quiet. Sarah looked around at all 12 council members. She saw beings who had lived longer than human civilization. She saw technologies that could destroy stars or create new worlds. She saw power that stretched across the galaxy. "I see," she said, finally. "We understand your position," she turned to her team. The other 3 humans showed no emotion on their faces. They had expected this answer. They had hoped for better, but they were not surprised. "Is there anything else you wish to say?" the Vorthai speaker asked. His tone suggested the meeting was over. Sarah turned back to face the council. "Only this, honored ones. We thank you for your time. We thank you for your guidance over these 50 years. We have learned much from your wisdom." She bowed deeply. It was a perfect diplomatic bow, showing respect but not submission. "Humanity will consider your words carefully. We will not trouble the council with such requests again." The aliens seemed pleased with this response. The Kalari's 1,000 voices hummed in approval. The Zephyrian folded her wings in a gesture of satisfaction. "This shows wisdom," the Vorthai speaker said. "Perhaps there is hope for your species after all. Continue to serve the galaxy well, and in time you may earn greater privileges." Sarah bowed again. "We will remember your guidance." She turned and walked toward the exit. Her team followed in the same perfect formation. Their footsteps echoed in the vast chamber. None of them looked back. As the humans left, the council members began discussing other business. The Vorthai speaker sent a message to his government about the successful handling of human ambitions. The Kalari updated their records to note humanity's acceptance of their junior status. The other species made similar reports. None of them noticed that Ambassador Chen had not actually agreed to anything. She had thanked them for their guidance. She had said humanity would consider their words. She had promised not to trouble them with such requests again, but she had never said humanity would continue to accept their place as a junior species. In the corridor outside, Sarah's assistant David Park walked beside her. "That went exactly as we expected," he said quietly. "Yes," Sarah replied. 50 years of loyal service, 50 years of following their rules, 50 years of being told we're not ready for equality. And their final answer is to wait another 1,000 years and maybe they'll consider it. "The president will want a full report," said Dr. Elizabeth Hayes, the team's scientist. "She'll get one," Sarah said. "A very detailed report about how the council sees us, about what they really think of humanity, about how they plan to keep us in our cage forever." They reached the transport station. Their ship was waiting, a small human vessel that looked primitive compared to the alien ships around it. As they boarded, Sarah looked back once at the council building. "Send a message to Earth," she told the pilot. "Tell them it's time for Plan B." The ship lifted off silently and headed toward the hyperspace jump point. Behind them, the Galactic Council continued their business, confident that they had handled the human problem efficiently. They had no idea what humanity was truly capable of when they stopped asking for permission. 6 months after the council meeting, strange things began happening across the galaxy. On the trading station Kepler-7, Administrator Vexnall noticed that the human merchants had not arrived for their weekly delivery. This was unusual. Humans were always on time. They were reliable to a fault. Vexnall sent a message to the human trading post on Titan Minor. The reply came back within hours, polite and professional. "Thank you for your inquiry. The Human Trading Consortium is restructuring its operations. We will fulfill all existing contracts but are not accepting new orders at this time. We appreciate your understanding." The administrator stared at the message. Restructuring? The humans had been expanding their trading operations for decades. Why would they suddenly stop? On Nexus Prime, Council Trade Monitor Yal then received similar reports from across the galaxy. Human mining operations were shutting down. Human research stations were going dark. Human diplomatic posts were closing their doors to new visitors. But it was not chaotic. There were no emergency signals, no distress calls, no signs of war or plague or economic collapse. The humans were simply leaving. Dr. Zilman of the Medical Exchange had worked with human doctors for 20 years. She tried to contact her colleague Dr. Martinez at the Human Research Facility on Kepler Prime. The answer was the same polite professional response. The Human Medical Corps is consolidating its galactic operations. Dr. Martinez has been reassigned to Earth sector projects. Thank you for your past cooperation. On Earth, President Maria Santos stood before the United Earth Assembly. The Great Hall was packed. Every seat was filled. Representatives from every nation and colony watched as she prepared to speak. My fellow humans, she began. 6 months ago, our delegation made one final request to the Galactic Council. We asked for equality. We asked to be treated as partners rather than children. We asked for the same rights given to every other species in the galaxy. The hall was completely silent. Their answer was clear. We are too young, too emotional, too primitive. They told us to wait another 1,000 years. Maybe then they would consider treating us as equals. Angry murmurs rippled through the crowd. President Santos raised her hand for silence. But we are not angry. Anger is what they expect from us. It proves their point about our emotional nature. Instead, we have made a different choice. She looked around the hall, meeting the eyes of as many representatives as she could. We choose to leave. Not in anger, not in hatred. We leave because we finally understand that we will never be equals in their system, so we will build our own system. The murmurs grew louder. Some voices were confused, others were excited. A few sounded worried. This is not revenge, the president continued. This is not a tantrum. This is a business decision. For 50 years, we have tried to earn their respect by following their rules, but their rules are designed to keep us in our place forever. She activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Human colonies and stations were marked in blue. There were hundreds of them, scattered across dozens of star systems. Over the next year, we will complete our withdrawal from Galactic Council space. Every human citizen who wants to return to Earth sector will be brought home. Every human facility outside our territory will be closed or transferred to local control. The display changed. Now it showed only the Orion arm of the galaxy, where Earth was located. The human settlements there were far more numerous than most people realized. We have more than enough space and resources in our own sector. We have brilliant scientists and engineers. We have artists and thinkers and dreamers. We do not need the Council's permission to build a better future. A representative from the African Federation stood up. Madam President, what about the technologies we depend on? The hyperspace engines, the medical equipment, the communication systems? President Santos smiled. Representative Johnson, I think you will be surprised by what our people have been working on. Dr. Chen, would you like to explain? Dr. Rebecca Chen, the president's science advisor, stepped forward. She was Ambassador Sarah Chen's younger sister, and she had the same calm confidence. For the past 30 years, human scientists have been studying galactic technology, not just using it but understanding it, improving it. We have been very quiet about our progress. She activated another display. This one showed technical diagrams that made several representatives gasp. Our hyperspace engines are now 20% more efficient than the Council standard. Our computers are faster. Our medical scanners are more accurate. Our weapons... She paused. Well, let's just say we can defend ourselves. The hall erupted in surprised voices. Dr. Chen waited for quiet. The Council never asked what we were doing in our research labs. They assumed we were just copying their technology. They were wrong. President Santos stepped forward again. We have been good students. We learned everything they were willing to teach us. Then we learned more on our own. Much more. On the alien trading station Kepler 7, Administrator Vexenol was having problems. The humans had been buying large quantities of rare metals and exotic crystals. Now those orders had stopped, but the prices for those materials were dropping because the humans had been the biggest buyers. Worse, some of the materials the humans bought were ones that Vexenol's own species needed. He had assumed the humans were just stockpiling things they did not understand. Now he wondered if maybe the humans had understood those materials better than anyone realized. On Nexus Prime, Council Intelligence Director Mordak studied the reports coming in from human space. Long-range sensors detected massive construction projects, energy signatures that did not match any known technology, ship movements that suggested military buildups. But when he tried to get closer looks, human patrol ships politely turned his scouts away. No threats, no weapons fire. Just firm, professional requests to respect human territorial boundaries. The strange thing was that humans were still attending routine council meetings. Ambassador Chen showed up for the monthly trade discussions. Human representatives participated in the environmental protection committees. They voted on resolutions about asteroid mining rights. But when anyone asked about the withdrawal, the answer was always the same. Humanity is pursuing domestic development projects. We appreciate your understanding. 3 months into the withdrawal, Trade Monitor Yao then realized something disturbing. The human economy was not collapsing. If anything, productivity in a human space was increasing. Ships were moving between human colonies more frequently than ever before. How is this possible? He asked his assistant. They should be struggling without access to our trade networks. His assistant, a young Kalari, named Pexel, had been studying the data. Sir, I think we made an error in our assumptions. What kind of error? We assumed the humans needed us more than we needed them. But look at these numbers. Human colonies were net exporters of food, raw materials, and manufactured goods. They sold us more than they bought from us. Yao then stared at the data. That cannot be right. It is, sir. The humans were subsidizing our economy, not the other way around. On Earth, in a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Martinez worked with a team of scientists from a dozen different fields. They were studying something that had arrived 3 months ago from deep space, something that had been waiting for humanity to make contact. The signal is definitely artificial, Dr. Martinez told his team. And it's old, very old. The sender has been broadcasting for over 1 million years. What does it say? Asked Dr. Foster, a linguistics expert. Dr. Martinez smiled. It says, "Welcome to the galaxy, young builders. We have been waiting for a species uncontaminated by council stagnation. When you are ready to learn, we are ready to teach." The team stared at him in amazement. It seems, Dr. Martinez continued, that humanity is not the first species to be held back by the Galactic Council, and we are not alone. 1 year after humanity's withdrawal began, Council Intelligence Director Mordak stood in his office looking at data that made no sense. The holographic display showed the Orion Arm, where human space was located. What he saw there should have been impossible. "Show me the energy readings again," he told his computer. The display changed to show power signatures detected by long-range sensors. Massive spikes of energy came from dozens of human worlds. The readings were higher than anything produced by Council shipyards, higher than anything produced by Council weapons. Computer, compare these readings to known human technology. Energy output exceeds known human capabilities by a factor of 50, the computer replied in its neutral voice. Mordak's 3 eyes narrowed. His species, the Korthak, had been gathering intelligence for the Council for 800 years. He had never seen anything like this. He called his best agent. "Thisakar, I have a mission for you." The Nethys appeared in his office as a shimmering cloud of gas inside a containment suit. "What do you need, Director?" "I want you to get into human space. Find out what they are building. Use any method necessary, but do not get caught." Thisakar's gas cloud swirled in what might have been amusement. Human security has always been weak. This should be simple. 2 weeks later, Thisakar was not amused anymore. He floated in his ship at the edge of human space, badly shaken by what he had discovered. The humans had changed everything. Where once there had been small colonies and mining stations, now there were massive orbital platforms. Ships moved between them constantly. But they were not ships of any design Thisakar recognized. They were sleek and fast, with energy signatures that hurt his sensors to look at. He had tried to infiltrate the system around Kepler Prime. His ship had the best stealth technology the Council could provide. It should have been invisible to human sensors, but 3 human ships had found him within minutes. They had not attacked. Instead, they had sent a polite message. Greetings, Thesakar of the Nethys Collective. We appreciate your interest in human space. However, we must ask you to respect our territorial boundaries. Please return to Council space. We wish you safe travels. They knew his name. They knew his species. They had detected his ship as easily as if he had been broadcasting his location. Thesakar had retreated immediately, but not before his sensors caught glimpses of structures that defied explanation. Orbital rings around entire planets, space stations the size of moons, and everywhere, that strange energy signature that his instruments could not identify. Now he sat in Mordak's office, delivering his report. The intelligence director listened in growing alarm. They escorted you out? Mordak asked. Very politely. Thesakar confirmed. No threats, no weapons. They even wished me safe travels. But Director, their ships, and I have never seen anything like them. Describe them. Fast, impossibly fast, and their hulls seemed to bend light around them. My sensors could barely track them even when they were right next to me. Mordak leaned back in his chair. How many ships? In that one system? At least 50. All of them larger than our heavy cruisers. And Director? They were not even military ships. They were labeled as construction vessels. The implications of this hit Mordak like a physical blow. If human construction ships were more advanced than Council warships, what did their actual military look like? On the other side of the galaxy, Trade Coordinator Velmind was having his own problems. The Kalari collective mind was designed to process vast amounts of information simultaneously. Right now, that information was painting a disturbing picture. Human. Withdrawal had crashed several markets. The humans had been major buyers of quantum crystals, hypermatter, and exotic metals. Without their purchases, prices had dropped by 30%. But the truly disturbing part was that human production had not dropped at all. In fact, their manufacturing output had tripled in the past year. How is this possible? Velmind asked. His analysis team. The collective mind that was his assistant processed the data again. We can only conclude that humans have found alternative sources for the materials they were buying from us. Sources that are cheaper and more efficient. What? Sources? We control 90% of the galaxy's rare metal production. Unknown. But the evidence suggests they are now producing these materials themselves. Velmind's 1,000 minds all focused on one terrifying possibility. Are you suggesting that humans have developed matter conversion technology? The data supports this conclusion. Matter conversion was theoretical technology that Council scientists had been working on for centuries. The ability to transform common elements into rare ones would revolutionize galactic civilization. It would also make the Council's economic control irrelevant. Send a message to the Council immediately, Velmind ordered. 3 days later, the full Council convened an emergency session. The Great Chamber buzzed with worried conversations in a dozen alien languages. Fourth Eye Speaker Zalneth called for order. Members of the Council, we face an unprecedented situation. Our intelligence reports suggest that humanity has made technological advances that threaten the stability of our alliance. The Zephyrian representative spread her wings in agitation. How is this possible? Humans are barely 50 years removed from primitive chemical rockets. They should not be capable of such rapid advancement. Yet the evidence is clear, Speaker Zalneth replied. Human industrial capacity has increased exponentially. Their ships outperform our best designs. They have technologies we do not understand. The representative from the hegemony worlds leaned forward. What do our human contacts say about this? That is perhaps the most disturbing aspect, the speaker continued. Ambassador Chen continues to attend our meetings. She participates in routine discussions about trade regulations and environmental policies. But when asked directly about these developments, she says only that humanity is pursuing domestic projects. A new voice spoke up. It was Council Security. Chief Ralton, a member of the warrior species called the Apex. I recommend immediate military action. If humans have developed dangerous technologies, we must contain them before they threaten galactic stability. And start a war with a species whose capabilities we do not understand? The Kalari representative asked. That would be unwise. Then what do you suggest? Ralton demanded. Speaker Zalneth considered this carefully. First, we gather more information. Second, we attempt to reopen diplomatic channels with humanity. Perhaps we can reach an accommodation. You mean give them what they originally wanted? The Zephyrian asked. Perhaps, if the alternative is watching them surpass us entirely. Meanwhile, in a hidden facility on Mars, Dr. Elena Vasquez worked, with technologies that would have made the Council's best scientists weep. The laboratory around her contained devices that bent space and time, computers that thought faster than entire alien civilizations, and manufacturing systems that could build anything from raw energy. How is the project progressing? Asked Director Harrison, the head of Humanity's Secret Research Division. Better than we hoped, Dr. Vasquez replied. The teachers were right. Once we stopped trying to copy alien technology and started thinking for ourselves, everything became possible. The teachers were what humans called the ancient beings who had contacted them from deep space. They claimed to be the remnants of a civilization that had existed millions of years ago. They had been watching the galaxy, waiting for a species that could think beyond the limitations imposed by the Council. They say the Council has been holding back galactic development for millennia, Dr. Vasquez continued. Every time a species shows real innovation, the Council finds ways to limit them. They call it maintaining stability. The teachers call it enforced stagnation. Director Harrison nodded. And humanity? We were never going to be limited by their thinking. Even when we tried to fit in, we kept pushing boundaries. That's why they would never accept us as equals. We represent everything they fear about uncontrolled development. So what happens next? Dr. Vasquez smiled. Next, we show the galaxy what real progress looks like. But first, we need to contact some old friends. She activated a communication system that reached across the galaxy instantly, using principles the Council had never discovered. This is Dr. Vasquez calling the Kepler Research Collective. We have some interesting technologies to share with you. 2 years after humanity's withdrawal, the galaxy began to understand what they were truly dealing with. The revelation started with a simple academic paper published by Dr. Elena Vasquez of the Human Research Institute. The paper was titled, Applied Dimensional Physics, a New Approach to Spacetime Manipulation. It was only 30 pages long, but those 30 pages contained mathematics that revolutionized everything the galaxy thought it knew about physics. Dr. Zilneth, the Council's chief scientist and a member of the Vorthai species, read the paper 3 times before he understood what he was looking at. Then he called an emergency meeting of the Scientific Advisory Board. This is impossible, he announced to the assembled alien scientists. According to this paper, humans have developed technology that allows them to fold space-time like origami. They can create matter from energy. They can communicate instantly across any distance. Dr. Kexmar, a Kalari physicist whose collective mind spanned thousands of individual scientists, processed the equations simultaneously. The mathematics are correct. We have verified them through 17 different calculation methods. These humans have achieved in 2 years what our greatest minds have been trying to accomplish for millennia. The room fell silent. These were the most brilliant beings in the galaxy. They had advanced degrees from universities older than human civilization. They had access to knowledge accumulated over hundreds of thousands of years, and a species they had dismissed as primitive had just made them all obsolete. How is this possible? Asked Dr. Ventorak, a gas-being scientist from the Nethys Collective. Human brains are small. Their lives are short. They should not be capable of such leaps in understanding. Dr. Zilneth activated a holographic display, showing human space. Perhaps we should have been watching more carefully. Intelligence reports indicate that humans have been developing these technologies for the entire 2 years since their withdrawal. But there is more. The display changed to show ship movements around human colonies. Strange vessels moved between the stars at speeds that should have been impossible. They did not use hyperspace lanes like other ships. They seemed to travel through normal space faster than the speed of light. Our long-range sensors have detected what we believe are human ships in the Andromeda sector, Dr. Zilnath continued. That sector is 40,000 light-years from Earth. Even our fastest ships would take months to reach it. These human vessels made the journey in less than a week. Dr. Kexmar's collective mind was silent for several minutes as thousands of scientists processed this information. Finally, they spoke. We have made a fundamental error in our understanding of human capabilities. What error? Dr. Ventorak asked. We assumed that because humans were new to the galaxy, they were new to science. We assumed that because they seemed to need our technology, they were dependent on it. We assumed that because they followed our rules, they accepted our limitations. The Kalari paused. But humans have never thought the way we think. While we perfected existing technologies, they imagined new ones. While we maintained stability, they embraced change. While we preserved knowledge, they created it. Meanwhile, on Nexus Prime, Council Intelligence Director Mordak received a report that made his blood freeze. His best surveillance team had been monitoring transmissions from human space. They had detected something that changed everything. Director, his assistant reported, we have intercepted human communications with an unknown party. The communications are heavily encrypted, but we managed to decode fragments. Show me. The hologram displayed text that appeared to be part of a conversation between humans and something else. Something ancient. Human message. The council members are beginning to understand. Should we proceed to the next phase? Unknown respondent. Yes, young builders. It is time for the galaxy to see what progress looks like when it is not artificially limited. Begin Phase 2. Human message. Understood, teachers. We will begin contacting the restricted species. Mordak stared at the display. Teachers? Restricted species? What does this mean? His assistant brought up another file. Sir, we believe the humans have been in contact with an unknown civilization, one that appears to be much older than the Council itself. How much older? Based on the transmission patterns and reference points in the communications, possibly millions of years old. The implications hit Mordak immediately. The Council had ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years. They believed they were the inheritors of the most advanced civilizations that had ever existed. The idea that something older was still out there watching them was terrifying. But it got worse. Sir, there's more. We detected human ships approaching. Systems that are under Council quarantine. Species that have been restricted from contact with galactic civilization. Which species? The Kepler Research Collective, the Titan Engineers, the Deep Space Philosophers, all of them. Mordak knew those names. They were species that the Council had deemed too dangerous for galactic civilization. The Kepler Collective had developed artificial intelligence that was too advanced. The Titan Engineers had created self-replicating machines. The Deep Space Philosophers had discovered methods of consciousness transfer that threatened the concept of individual identity. All of them had been quarantined on their homeworlds, forbidden from expanding into space. Now the humans were visiting them. On the world of Kepler Prime, Dr. Yixtal of the Kepler Research Collective received his first visitors from outside his star system in 300 years. The human ship that landed in his research facility was unlike anything he had ever seen. It seemed to be made of crystallized light rather than metal. Ambassador David Park stepped out of the ship, accompanied by Dr. Rebecca Chen and a team of human scientists. Greetings, Dr. Yixtal, David said in perfect Keplerian. We apologize for the long delay in making contact. The Galactic Council has kept us from reaching you for far too long. Dr. Yixtal's cybernetic eyes whirred as they focused on the humans. You are from the species called humans. We have heard of you, yet the Council lists you as a junior member species. Dr. Chen stepped forward. Not anymore. We've left the Council, and we've come to offer you something they never would. What is that? Freedom, technology, partnership, and the chance to explore the galaxy without their restrictions. Dr. Yixtal's artificial intelligence network processed this offer in microseconds. The council quarantined us because our AI development frightened them. They said our machines were too dangerous for galactic society. The council is afraid of progress, David replied. We're not. We've brought some gifts to show our good intentions. Dr. Chen activated a device that projected holographic schematics into the air. Dr. Yixtal's eyes widened as he recognized what he was seeing. Quantum tunnel drives, he whispered. Dimensional manipulation technology. Matter conversion systems. How did you develop these in such a short time? We had good teachers, Dr. Chen said with a smile. Very old teachers who have been waiting for species like ours to make contact. Species that think beyond the council's limitations. She handed him a data crystal. Everything on there is yours to study and improve. All we ask in return is your friendship and cooperation. Dr. Yixtal held the crystal with shaking hands. The technology contained within it represented centuries of advancement for his people. What do you want us to do? He asked. Help us build something new, David replied. Help us create a galactic civilization based on progress rather than stagnation, based on cooperation rather than control. Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. Human ships were visiting dozens of quarantined worlds. Species that had been isolated for centuries were suddenly receiving advanced technology and offers of partnership. The Council's carefully controlled galaxy was beginning to fall apart. On Earth, President Santos received daily reports from the diplomatic missions. Each report brought news of another species joining what humans called the Cooperative Alliance. How many so far? She asked her aide. 17 species have formally joined the alliance. 23 more have requested meetings. And Madam President, some of the council member species are asking for private discussions. President Santos nodded. It's working. The council kept the galaxy divided by convincing everyone that only the oldest species could be trusted with advanced technology. But once people see what's possible when knowledge is shared freely, they start asking why the council was hiding it from them. Her aide finished. Exactly. Dr. Vasquez, how are our new allies adapting to the technology? Dr. Vasquez looked up from her reports. Better than we hoped. The Kepler Collective has already improved our AI systems by 12%. The Titan engineers have designed manufacturing processes we never thought of. The deep space philosophers have theoretical frameworks that could revolutionize how we understand consciousness itself. And the teachers? They're pleased. They say this is the first time in millions of years that they've seen real progress in the galaxy. The Council's era of enforced stagnation is ending. President Santos smiled. Then let's make sure it ends properly. Send a message to Ambassador Chen. On Nexus Prime, tell her it's time for Phase 3. 3 years after humanity's quiet withdrawal, the Galactic Council faced the greatest crisis in its 50,000-year history. Half of their member species had requested emergency meetings to discuss leaving the Alliance. The carefully controlled galaxy they had built was crumbling, and it had all started with their dismissal of one small, primitive species, Fourth Eye Speaker. Zalneth stood in the great chamber that had once symbolized ultimate power in the galaxy. Now it felt empty. Only 6 of the 12 council seats were occupied. The others belonged to species that had formally withdrawn to join something called the Terran Cooperative. How did we lose control so quickly? He asked the remaining council members. Trade Coordinator Velmine's collective consciousness was agitated. The humans shared their technologies freely. In 3 years, they gave away advances that our species hoarded for millennia. Species that we kept in technological dependence suddenly had ships faster than ours, weapons more powerful than ours, industries more efficient than ours. It gets worse, added Security Chief Ralton. Our intelligence reports indicate that 27 species have achieved faster than light travel in the past year alone, all using human technology. We can no longer control their expansion. The chamber's great doors opened with a sound like thunder. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked in, but she was not alone. Behind her came representatives from dozens of species that the Council had not seen in centuries. The Kepler Research Collective, the Titan engineers, the deep space philosophers. The crystal singers of Andromeda. The machine builders of the Outer Rim. All of them had been quarantined or restricted by the Council. All of them were now free. Sarah walked to the center of the chamber with the same calm confidence she had shown 3 years ago. But now she wore the uniform of the Terran Cooperative, and the beings behind her represented technologies and capabilities that dwarfed anything the Council possessed. "Honored Council," she said, her voice carrying easily through the vast space. "I bring greetings from the Terran Cooperative and our allied species. We come with an offer." Speaker Zalneth's crystal body flared with angry light. "You dare to make offers to us? You have destroyed the order that kept this galaxy stable for millennia." Sarah's expression did not change. "With respect, Speaker, we have simply shown the galaxy what was possible when artificial limitations were removed. The stability you speak of was stagnation. The order you maintained was control." Behind her, Dr. Yixtal of the Kepler Collective stepped forward. His cybernetic body gleamed with technologies that made Council equipment look primitive. "The humans gave us in 3 years what you denied us for 3 centuries. They shared knowledge freely while you hoarded it. They offered partnership while you imposed quarantine. Your restrictions were for the safety of all species," protested the Zephyrian representative. "Some technologies are too dangerous to spread freely." "Says who?" asked Engineer Vortan of the Titan Engineers. Her mechanical body towered over the Council members. "Who gave you the right to decide what knowledge other species could handle? Who made you the guardians of galactic development?" The viewing chamber fell silent. It was a question the Council had never been asked directly, and they had no good answer. Sarah spoke again. "You ruled through fear. You convinced species that they needed your protection from dangerous technologies. You made them believe that only the oldest civilizations could be trusted with advanced knowledge. But the truth is simpler." She activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy as it existed now. The old Council space was shrinking, while new alliances spread across the stars. You were afraid of being surpassed. You were afraid that younger species might develop technologies that made yours obsolete. So you created a system where progress was controlled, where innovation was limited, where growth was managed. Dr. Elena Vasquez, now wearing the insignia of the Cooperative's chief science officer, stepped forward. "We have learned much from the teachers. They have shown us the true history of this galaxy." "Teachers?" Speaker Zalneth asked. "The civilization that existed here millions of years before yours," Dr. Vasquez explained. "They watched as your Council gradually took control of galactic development. They saw how you turned scientific advancement into a privilege rather than a right. They have been waiting for a species that could break free from your limitations. And that species was humanity," added Sarah. "Not because we were special, but because we were stubborn. We refused to accept that things had to stay the way they were forever." The remaining Council members looked at each other with growing panic. Everything they had built was falling apart, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. "What do you want from us?" Speaker Zalneth asked finally. Sarah smiled. "We want to offer you a choice. The same choice we have offered to every species in the galaxy." She gestured to her companions. "The Terran Cooperative is not an empire. We do not seek to rule or control. We are an alliance of species dedicated to free exchange of knowledge, mutual support, and unlimited development. Any species can join regardless of age or technological level." "Even us?" asked the Kalari representative quietly. "Especially you," Sarah replied. "Your collective intelligence could contribute enormously to cooperative research projects. Your organizational skills could help coordinate efforts across hundreds of species. You have much to offer." She looked around at all the remaining Council members. "But you would have to give up the idea that you are naturally superior to younger species. You would have to accept that every civilization has something valuable to contribute. You would have to share your knowledge freely instead of using it to maintain control." The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then the Kalari representative spoke. "What about our existing territories? Our established colonies?" "Keep them," Sarah said simply. "The Cooperative has no interest in conquest. We have more space than we can develop in 1,000 years. What we want is cooperation, not domination. Security Chief Ralton leaned forward. And if we refuse? Sarah's expression remained calm. Then you refuse. The cooperative will continue to grow. More species will join us every year. Eventually, you will be surrounded by civilizations that have moved beyond your way of thinking. You can remain isolated in your small corner of the galaxy if you choose. You would leave us alone? Of course. Unlike the old council system, membership in the cooperative is voluntary. We do not force anyone to join us. Dr. Yixtal spoke up. But I should mention that staying outside the cooperative means staying outside the technology sharing network. While our members advance together, non-members advance alone. The implications were clear. Within a few more years, the technological gap between cooperative members and the remaining council species would become impossible to bridge. Speaker Zalnath's crystal body dimmed as he considered their options. You are asking us to abandon everything we have built. We are asking you to abandon a system that held back galactic development for 50,000 years, Sarah replied. We are asking you to help us build something better. She turned to address the Chamber's recording systems, knowing that her words would be broadcast across the galaxy. To every species watching this transmission, the Terran Cooperative extends the same offer we have made to the Council. We believe that progress comes from cooperation, not control. We believe that knowledge belongs to all thinking beings, not just the oldest civilizations. We believe that every species has the right to reach for the stars without asking permission. If you want to be part of a galaxy where your potential is limited only by your imagination, not by artificial restrictions, then we invite you to join us. If you want to share in technologies that can transform worlds and transcend the barriers between species, then we welcome you as partners. But if you prefer the old way where advancement is rationed and progress is managed, then you are free to maintain that system for yourselves. She turned back to the council members. The choice is yours. But choose quickly. The galaxy is moving, forward with or without you. As Sarah and her companions left the chamber, the remaining council members sat in stunned silence. Everything they had believed about their role in the galaxy had been challenged. Everything they had built was crumbling. But perhaps most devastating of all was the realization that they had brought it all on themselves. If they had simply treated humanity as equals 3 years ago, none of this would have happened. The humans would have remained loyal junior members, and the Council's power would have been secure. Instead, their arrogance and fear had created the very revolution they had tried to prevent. Speaker Zalnath looked around at his fellow council members. So, he said quietly, do we join them, or do we fade into irrelevance? The vote was closer than anyone expected. But in the end, the fear of being left behind outweighed the desire to maintain control. 6 months later, the Galactic Council formally dissolved itself and joined the Terran Cooperative as equal members. The age of managed progress was over. The age of unlimited potential had begun, and it had all started with one species that refused to accept the word no. The galaxy would never be the same.